This production is part of American Graduate, Getting to Work, a public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
I've always known I've wanted to farm, and it hasn't been the easiest.
When you go through such a thorough education, you will have these instincts that come out of nowhere once you're in the practice, and it's so important to trust them.
Originally, I wanted to go in and think about environmental law, and that means going to law school, which is another 4 years of school, of paying tuition, and that seemed like a lot.
Ask questions, advocate for yourself.
Now they come up to me and I answer the question because I listened and I observed and I put myself out there.
I asked about it if girls could do it too, and they said yeah. I passed the test and then started a couple months later.
If you have the knowledge and you have the experience, that's all that really matters.
In the fields of manufacturing and technology, there's no lack of effort expended on connecting youths to employers. Most spent uniting schools, colleges, and job training programs around the goal of ensuring workforce readiness. As more advanced technologies and robotics evolve to shape manufacturing, technical high schools play a critical role in helping businesses equip young workers with the required skills for today's workforce. A Path Forward explores the pathways to skilled jobs through the point of view of a group of inspiring young women and men and the mentors who are guiding them through their journey.
I feel a lot of pressure, especially when I started here. It was a culture shock. 16-year-old working with people that were 3 times my age, working at a very high pace, 10 hours a day. I was exhausted, but I wanted to keep going because I wanted to keep learning. Every first piece off the machine has to be inspected. And we do first pieces and last pieces just to make sure that the machine's running properly.
I have 42 years experience in this. And most of the people, including Cheyenne and a lot of my lead people, I've mentored out of the trade school as they come out, as teenagers coming out of high school. In this business, we need the younger generation. They have been taught that they have to go to college to do this and get ahead. But in this industry, like Cheyenne and the younger ones coming out, they come out of high school and they can work in a trade where they will make very good money. I mean, I need them for 3, 4, 5 years, and we go through the mentoring stage because, college isn't for everybody, and manufacturing is a really good route nowadays to a good livelihood. My father always said, learn to work with your hands and you'll never go hungry. Right now, we need as many as we can get. I have positions, I can fill probably 15 or 20 positions right now, if you can find the people.
Technology changes, and the state of Connecticut has been very, very good at keeping the trade programs up to date with what's happening in the various industries. I communicate with industry on a daily and weekly basis. We are constantly in communication with each other. Without our relationship with industry, this wouldn't work. Every student has their strengths, and our goal is to try to find their strength and help them build their future based off the strengths they have. Cheyenne came here as a freshman and immediately demonstrated leadership, even at a grade 9 level. She was just extraordinarily ambitious. She had an endless amount of energy and was extremely curious and really interested in learning. When the opportunity came and she said she would like to start a job, I got her out on work study at Stevens Manufacturing, and she's the same way now. She's just a a bundle of energy, a bundle of ambition. The one thing we've noticed in the world of metrology is that the young girls that come here, they graduate as young women and they go off and they have these fantastic careers. Right now, I have 6 of my graduates who are out in various aerospace companies, and they're all supervisors. I don't think any of them are over 25 years old. Companies are interested in who is technically savvy enough to come in and do the job and put their heart and soul into doing it. They don't care if you're a man or woman. They want to know what's your technical skills, where's your knowledge, and how driven are you to learn and move forward. Obviously, in March, we were tossed out of the school, like all the kids in the United States were. And it was devastating. Immediately, I've had kids within a couple of weeks say, I'll never complain about being in school again.
I go back to Platt all the time, so I want to keep doing well just so that Mr. Tuttle could be proud of me. I mean, he means the absolute world to me. When I always asked for work, he'd give me more and more stuff to do. He gave me more leadership. I just helped me design stuff. He molded what I am now. How I got a job at Stevens is I walked up to Mr. Tuttle and I said I wanted to be an inspector and I wanted to have a summer job. He took out his phone, he texted Steven, and I got an interview on that Thursday. When I graduated high school, I started to move up fast. I went to different trainings, got different certifications. It was difficult because there's a lot you have to do, but it was fun at the same time because I wanted to see how far I could push myself. I was the little kid in the corner when I first started here, and I would always turn around and ask everybody behind me, what was that? What were you just talking about? Can you explain that some more? I didn't know anything about aerospace or manufacturing. I just knew the basic things you learn in high school. So Steven, he kind of took me under his wing and he showed me everything. One thing is creating a culture of quality. It's just making sure everybody in the shop, not just inspectors, are organized and they understand that you need to check your parts because your parts are gonna go in the helicopter, and if something fails, then that's somebody's life. So I'm in charge of the inspectors. We pick out the fine details, and that's kind of what makes an inspector so good at their job is you find the little things. And the little things matter, especially with helicopters, since we're military, the little things definitely matter. What made me want to be an inspector was the machines. It was interesting, but it wasn't challenging. Measuring was always something that no one ventured towards. It's really hard for me, as me being a young woman, it's really hard. I didn't have a lot of respect because the guys didn't think I knew what I was talking about. But I had to show them that I knew exactly what I was doing. Because it's different for me than it is one of the guys. And if someone needs something, now they come up to me and I answer the question because I listened and I observed and I put myself out there so that I could retain all that information from everybody, because people here are very knowledgeable. They've been here for like 30 years. So adapting and change and listening was something that I had to learn really fast. So the biggest challenge in my career has been accepting that I'm not always right, and accepting that there's gonna be a change, and there's gonna be changes, there's gonna be other ways to do it, that other people are gonna have an opinion in whatever you do, not just in my career, just in life.
It was a very long road to get here, and it took a lot of steps. I used to work in a warehouse, then I worked some part-time as an account executive. And one day during my pitch, somebody stopped me and said, "You're very good at what you do. Like, you're very talented. And you have a lot of local opportunities that you can take advantage of." So that night, I went home, did a ton of research, then I found an opportunity for their IT Express program. The process of me learning the foundational way, because I feel like more so, not just in this country, but in the world, there's a set system to how you do things. You know, you finish high school, you go to college, get a degree, and I thought that was the way things worked. And after leaving college, for my short extent there, I thought, wow, you know, I blew this opportunity, and now, you know, I'm never gonna have another chance, basically, to get that done. And when I found out about the American Job Center and Workforce Alliance, and they offered me this opportunity to do social media, I was like, oh my goodness. They looked at my experience in college and they accepted it, because experience is experience.
The program that we have is called Project CEO. We started this program, and what we want to do is just provide youth with opportunities such as employment and training, and we want them to provide them with skills, even if it's through internships, on-the-job training, but we just want to prepare them for employment so they can be stable with financial stability. We wanted to make sure that they're the CEOs of their lives. I really do enjoy working with youth, because I'm not just a cliche about they are our future, but they really are. And I just want to help them to get the skills that they need so they can be successful. When I was in high school many years ago, you know, my option was either you go to, like, your main focus was go to college. And I think if they would taught us more about workforce development and know that there are trainings, certificate programs that can still provide you with a good living, that will help a lot of youth that's in high school if they knew more about workforce development and know about other opportunities.
This job wakes me up, and I get up in the morning. Even though the workday may start at 8:30, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I get started on all the different opportunities, because with social media never sleeps. My mom's my inspiration. I remember being at school, and it was my first time being away from home. I didn't have many friends, and I was very lost. And I remember calling her and just breaking down and asking her for her advice and what I should do. And not only did she give me some sound advice, but she was always there for me at times where I felt like I couldn't believe in myself, and I felt like I wanted to give up.
His pathway to becoming who he is today has been a little rocky one for him. Not as hard as it is for some people, but for him it was difficult, because he was going into different jobs. And I say jobs because that's what they were. Not to knock any of them. He's worked in retail and he's worked in warehouses. But what he's doing now is a career. And it's the love that I see that he has for it that is so wonderful. And I can see him growing and soaring. He's young and he's gifted.
Ready? It's game time. It's game time. All right. Ah! I always considered having a degree was something you would have to do to get certain jobs. And at the end of the day, if you have the knowledge and you have the experience, that's all that really matters.
The sustainability field has gained a lot of momentum in recent years. From sustainable agriculture to sustainable urban planning, there are plenty of opportunities for a new generation to reimagine a future that meets our human and environmental needs.
Right now, Northeast Connecticut is known as the Quiet Corner, and it's known this because it's very rural, it's not very densely populated, and there are some great things about that, like the amount of open space. But I think that with the aging population in this specific area and in Connecticut as a whole, one of the goals is to attract younger professionals to come into these communities. And so a lot of that has to do with zoning and planning. So looking at a community and saying, here's a downtown area that we can build up, but we want to do it in a sustainable way, in a way that isn't going to overcrowd, overpopulate, and also isn't going to disrupt these natural resources that make the region this like kind of quaint rural charm.
Sustainability, it's one of these words that gets used a lot in a lot of different fields, whether it's science or food, environment. It generally means that you want to make the systems even stronger than when you found them. So I think sometimes people misunderstand sustainability as like, oh, we just want to keep it going. We just want to like not cause any harm. But if you really are committed to the notion of sustainability, you actually want to improve the system.
Everything has been remote since I started, which has been a bit of a challenge to get used to, but hasn't been too bad. I was able to work in this office last summer through my fellowship position, which was really great. So I got to meet the people that work here and know how the work environment kind of is, which helps a lot now that everything's remote. But we have weekly meetings with the whole staff on Zoom, so it's nice to get to know people that way. I'm in charge of doing a lot of regional planning, so that can range from natural hazard mitigation plans for the region, or that can be a plan of conservation and development for a specific town within the region. Mostly zoning and protecting open space.
You're connecting dots that weren't connected before. So you're finding, like a waste stream is a really good example. Like, oh, there's all this extra milk, what should we do with it? Oh, but there's a distribution of food for emergency needs. That's the systems thinking we're talking about. And somebody like Alexis, who understands systems thinking, understands all those different pieces of a food system in this case, from the producer, all the way through the processor, the distributor, the supplier, the consumer, and back through the waste stream. A person sort of thinks that way is also able to recognize, oh, there are people in each of those sectors. Who do I need to call? Who's a mover or shaker? What are the associations involved here? What's the economics? What's the politics? Somebody like Alexis, I think, is excited to grapple with that, to be a problem solver. It really depends a lot on, have you shown up already? Do people already know you? And based on that, are they willing to give you a chance, So I don't think you have to have a top degree from a top university to break into these fields. I think you have to prove yourself, prove that you understand the issues, and prove that you're willing to show up, and prove that you're willing to pitch in and help. Because a lot of ideas out there are messy, and and they might not work. That's sort of the fun of it and the risk of it. But that's how people know that you're serious. You're willing to give everything a shot.
I didn't know what post-grad meant for me, and I didn't know until I think May 31st, which was right after graduation. I still had no idea what I was doing. I thought that I would be going into a program like AmeriCorps or Food Corps and working as a volunteer for a year just to kind of see what direction that led me into. And then I ended up interviewing for this position and ended up getting it, which I wasn't expecting, to be entirely honest. But my boss has been really great. He has a lot of faith in me and he trusts me, and that kind of helps with the imposter syndrome, because sometimes as a young professional it's hard to feel like you are deserving of that position. But it's been really great working with people in the office. They're so amazing with me and they give me a lot of resources. Within the position, I can kind of choose which projects, which goals I want to work on. And so if I can see things that I think propel this area towards this goal of having a sustainable community for everyone in that community, because that's a big part of sustainability. It's meaningless if it's not welcoming to everyone.
I went to Nonawag High School, which is an agricultural high school. I did a couple extracurricular activities. We competed nationally, and it really opened up my eyes to what else is actually out there.
Farmers out here on the East Coast need to be pretty creative. It's important that we preserve land, because I do believe that here on the East Coast that we are going to move a little bit closer to a more agriculture. I don't think we're going to go into a great market system necessarily, like you would see in other parts of the country, but I do believe there's going to be more agriculture and more of an interest in buying local products. The idea of sustainable farming is a key word right now, but people have been sustainably farming for hundreds of years. That's how farms stay in families.
So we have approximately 20 dairy cows and 9 pigs and 3 calves. And the dairy cows, you know, the main goal is to produce the milk from the dairy cows. I don't have a market for the milk right now, so it goes right to the pigs and to the calves. And then the pork, you know, we do milk-fed pork. The dairy industry isn't in a good spot right now, so there's nobody around anymore that will come and pick up the milk. Years ago, there was 8 or 9 dairy farms here in town, and they've all gone out of business, and I'm basically the only one with dairy cows left in town. I became a farmer watching my cousins farm in upstate New York. I grew up helping them milk the cows, and they would teach me how to drive the tractors and teach me how to milk. They would, you know, teach me how to scrape down the barn, you know, to keep the cows clean, and I just developed a passion for it. I've always known I've wanted to farm, and it hasn't been the easiest because not many people really support agriculture, even as important as it is. You know, people need to eat. It's not supported like it was years ago, and that has made it really tough on the farmer. It's hard to even find a grain truck to come to the farm and deliver feed, and you call up the dairy supply dealer and he doesn't even want to come down because of the amount of cows that I have, and that has made it very challenging. So, you know, one of my ideas now is, you know, becoming more sustainable. So doing all my own crops, you know, making a higher protein and a higher energy feed so I could get away from grain. Diversifying where I don't have to rely on the dairy industry and a milk truck coming. I can do the pork, I could do the vegetables, and the vegetables in an area like this is much more supported than a local dairy farm or beef farm. One of my cousins, his favorite saying, you know, he got Farmer of the Year award in upstate New York, and his favorite saying, or his quote in the article was, you know, if you don't love farming and you can't deal with the hardships, it'll eat you up and spit you out. And that is a saying that I live by every day. The challenges certainly just make you into a stronger person.
Anybody who's had experience with David Jelen knows that he has got a farmer's soul. I think he's made a nice assessment of the amount of land that's up there, and he's realistic about what can be done. People are looking at smaller farms right now, and there is a swell of interest throughout this country of people wanting to get back to agriculture, grow their own food and all.
There's nothing that I would rather do than farm. So I guess my goal here is just to be sustainable and be a successful farmer. You know, if I could pay the bills and, you know, make the farm look nice and keep it up to the standards of the townspeople, considering it is a town-owned farm, that's just the goal, you know, and that makes me happy, and it makes everybody else in town happy because they get to see, you know, one of the only successful farms left in Sherman, and it's just happiness.
To learn more about education and training opportunities for high-demand careers, visit ctpublic.org/American Graduate.
This production is part of American Graduate, Getting to Work, a public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.